Sam, your book is called Memoir, Reasons Why I Left the Amish Community, and you made a first attempt to leave when you were just 17 years old in 2009. What happened then?
When I left, I got on a bicycle that I trained myself how to ride, and I pedaled 17 miles in the middle of the night to a friend's place that I didn't even know if he was going to let me stay at his place, but that was the only place I could think of going.
You were taking quite a risk that night, and you wrote about that night in your book. Let's hear you read a little bit of it.
I also had no idea how scary it was going to be running away in the middle of the night. I heard many dogs bark. It seemed almost every house I went by had a dog barking. I had no idea so many people had dogs. It didn't really bother me hearing all the dogs bark other than for this one house I went by. I believe they had 2 pit bulls out in front of the house. Their house sat up on top of a hill. By that time, I was very tired. So instead of pedaling the bike up the hill, I decided to push the bike up the hill to give my legs a little rest. When I got right in front of their house, both dogs came running out, barking at the top of their lungs. I got on my bike, started pedaling as fast as I could. Both dogs chased me down the road a ways, but after a while, they turned around and went back home. What a relief that was. All of a sudden, I hear a pack of coyotes hollering.
So first you're pursued by dogs as you're sneaking away from your house, and then you're threatened by coyotes.
Yes, at that time, being by a bicycle, I felt safe, so I just kept going.
Well, why did your first attempt to leave home not succeed?
I was not the age of 18, so after a couple months that I had left, my father, he went to the police station and asked them to bring me back home, and so I went back home until I was the age of 18.
Well, we will talk about that time when you eventually did leave for good. Right now, you're working in the maple sugar industry in St. Regis Falls in St. Lawrence County. And how far away are you from Lawrenceville, where your family still lives?
It's maybe like a 15-minute car ride, possibly like 10 miles at the most.
And you don't see your family now?
No, I do not.
Okay, the Amish community worships in churches that are part of a group of traditionalist Christian churches. Many people have ideas about how the Amish live because we see the horse and buggies occasionally on the road and those road signs. Did you use electricity at all while growing up?
No, we did not use any electricity.
So you had no television, no computer, no cell phone?
That's correct. No, there was none of that.
And you had no phone at all?
No, we did not. The only time we could use a phone if there was a serious emergency, we would run to our neighbors and they would allow us to use the phone. But other than that, there was no phone.
Well, besides living without electricity, how else would you describe the Amish way of life?
And looking back, there's a lot of things that I think the Amish life is very quiet and peaceful. But I think sometimes the religion also gets in the way of having the peace in the community.
Well, people ask you a lot of questions about your life in the Amish community. What is a question you get asked often?
I would probably say how Amish dating or how they find a wife.
What is a date like?
Some of my friends would gather together and they would bring me to a girl's house, and they go into the house and they ask the girl if she want to have a date with me, and if she does, then we'll go into the house and in her room, and that's where we have a date.
And what happens during the date in the room?
Me and her are in the room alone, and we do have to lay into the bed, and we have to hug and kiss. Otherwise, it would not be considered a date.
Wow, I wouldn't have expected that.
Yes, it's very different from this.
But what do you do in this bed? You're wearing all your clothes?
Yes, we are fully clothed. We lay in the bed and we just visit about. Could be anything about weather or
So you're lying in this girl's bed together and you have to hug and kiss, but this is not sexual.
That's correct. Nothing, as far as I know, nothing sexual happens until marriage.
And are you cuddling with her the whole time?
No, the only time that we are kind of like touching each other is when we're giving a hug and a kiss.
So it's very innocent.
In the Amish eyes, yes. And somebody that the outside world might not think that way as much.
Well, you mentioned religion as a very strict force in your life. What are some of the other objections you have to the Amish way of life?
The religion did not necessarily bother me, but my father was, he was the bishop, the head guy in the community. So he had very strict, rules for me and my siblings that I did not see other families had, and that was kind of what made hard for me to fit in.
What were some of these rules your father had?
Suspenders was a big thing. In the Amish community, many of them let their children or their kids go without suspenders at the age of 14. Me and my brothers were not allowed. My father said we had to wear suspenders until the age of 21, which is when we go out on our own. It just made it hard for me to fit in, knowing that I had to do that, and there was certain other stuff that was as well that bothered me.
So this article of clothing, the suspenders, set you apart from other people.
Yes, there was a few times where I got picked on for having to wear them. So,
in a way, do you think you left the Amish community because your household in particular was run in a very strict way, whereas other people lived in a way that wasn't so strict?
Yes, that is very much what happened.
Well, what's a vivid memory you have from growing up in an Amish household?
Right before I left, a lot of teenagers my age had got together and they were going to have a hot dog roasting party. And this was something that was very against religion, and that was another thing that kind of drove me out, because I knew the elders would find out eventually, and I would get in a lot of trouble for it.
Why was a hot dog roasting party against religion?
It was considered being too cool, basically. There's no parties at all.
But you did go to this party?
No, I did not. Before the party ever happened, I left. I was disappointed, and just a very sad feeling, knowing that I couldn't go and not really fit in.
But you were only 17 when you first tried to leave. Why did you want to leave your family and go out into the world at large at such a young age?
Mainly because I didn't feel like I was fitting in and enjoying the Amish life, and so I started looking for other options, and leaving the community was the first thing that came, one of the first things that came to my mind.
Did you have any fears about leaving the community?
We're very religious, so if we leave the community, we're told bad things were going to happen to us, and such as, when our time came, we would not make it into heaven, and instead of we would be going to hell. That was probably one of the biggest fear I had, was thinking I would not be saved after I, left the community.
So how did you get over this fear?
Getting to know, to talk to other people that are, go to church as well. I've read some of the Bible since I've left, and I don't really believe everything that I was told is true.
So you can still be a religious person, but not necessarily an Amish person.
Yes.
So after you turned 18 years old, what did you do in October of 2009?
I left again. That time when I left, I didn't know if I would ever come back home. I had a friend that came by, and I told him to come, and we lived on top of the hill. So I told him to just come and park at the bottom of the hill in the middle of the night, and he did. And when the time came, I got up and I walked out of the house and ran down the hill, and that was the last time I was at home.
You were fortunate because both times you left, you knew some people who were not Amish who could both house you and connect you with people who could find you a job.
Yes, I was very, very lucky on that part. That's one of the things that I look back now, and I'm very blessed that I had that.
What's it like to all of a sudden live with electricity?
It is very nice. It's very nice to walk in the house and flip a switch and the light comes on, and also have running water, which is something we did not have at home.
So after 12 years of not living in the Amish community, are you still learning things about the society that is not Amish?
Yes, we're not very educated in the Amish community. The education level is very low. We're not taught any kind of history or anything like that. So that was some stuff that I tried to educate myself on. Like running computer, cell phone, all that kind of stuff, was something that I had to learn as well. As far as like doing any kind of fun events, we didn't really get to do either. Skiing is something I really enjoy doing, and we were not allowed to do that at home either.
Well, why did you want to write a book about leaving the Amish community?
Many people had asked me questions about the Amish life, and some people would, occasionally tell me that I should write a book. And so finally one day I came home from work, and I sat down and I took a pen and a tablet and I just started writing, because at that time I did not know how to use a computer, and so I just started writing and decided to see where it would get me, and now all of a sudden, my book is available everywhere.